Hi everyone, I'm Scott. This is my channel CineRam, and I'd like to talk to you about Barbenheimers of the past. As I record this, both Barbie, directed by Greta Gerwig and starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, and Oppenheimer, directed by Christopher Nolan and starring Cillian Murphy and a lot of other cool people, have just opened and had a gangbusters opening weekend. I wanted to actually record these videos before that came out to sort of capitalize on the hype, but you know, circumstances of life being what they are, wasn't able to do that, so we'll have to do it this time. Now, actually, there was a post last week on one of my favorite websites, avclub.com, which they talked about Barbenheimers of the past, uniquely noteworthy double features or potential double features. Movies opening on the same day that are a big contrast to each other. And I thought it would be fun to look at that. And I basically spent about 6 days on a very silly research project looking up release dates and movies that were not only successful and well regarded, but also have made a sort of a cultural impact. They've stood the test of time, I guess you could say. And that wasn't easy. There was a lot to choose from. One thing that I decided to do early on was to disqualify any movies that came out on Christmas Day, because there's too many of them. Typically on Christmas Day, there are between 6 and 8 movies, major movies that all come out at the same time, hoping for those holiday box office bucks. For example, Christmas of 1997, you had Amistad, directed by Steven Spielberg, Jackie Brown, directed by Quentin Tarantino, Kundun, directed by Martin Scorsese, The Postman, directed by Kevin Costner, the black comedy Wag the Dog, Mr. Magoo, as good as it gets with Jack Nicholson and Helen Hunt's Oscar-winning performances, and, lest we forget, An American Werewolf in Paris, starring Julie Delpy. All came out on Christmas Day. So I'm like, forget Christmas Day. That's cheating, yeah, and it would be too difficult to narrow it down to just 2 movies for our Barbenheimers. So those are my qualifications, really, and I hope that you enjoy this. I'd like to go through the top 5 of each decade, starting with the 80s, and as we're in the 80s right now, my first Barbenheimer for that decade would be Dressed to Kill, directed by Brian De Palma, and the classic comedy Caddyshack. Bill Murray, Chevy Chase, Rodney Dangerfield's a classic 80s comedy. They both came out on the same day, July 25th, 1980. I'd also, before I go any further, just mention a couple of my runners-up for the 80s. Scarface, in terms of endearment, came out on the same day. Little Shop of Horrors and Platoon came out on the same day. And best of all, Dead Poets Society, the Robin Williams drama, and Nicolas Cage in Vampire's Kiss came out on the same day in 1989. It's pretty funny right there. So that's number 5. Number 4, the classic action movie and holiday favorite Die Hard, along with the British comedy A Fish Called Wanda. A Fish Called Wanda, of course, stars John Cleese and Michael Palin from Monty Python, plus, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Kline, who won Best Supporting Actor for this movie. It's a very, very great comedy, beloved to this day. But, of course, Die Hard is a perennial favorite, not only among action fans, but also of Christmas holiday celebrators who are looking for alternative content for their viewing entertainment. Die Hard, of course, famous for Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman's performances. Hans Gruber, of course, is one of the great villains. These movies both came out on July 5th of 1988. Another iconic action hero, perhaps even more iconic than John McClane in Die Hard, had a movie coming out on May 22nd, 1985. That will be Sylvester Stallone as John Rambo. Rambo First Blood Part 2 came out on May 22nd, 1985, the same day as the Richard Pryor John Candy comedy Brewster's Millions. As you can see, I'm attempting a portmanteau, same as Barbenheimer with all these movies right here. Some are successful, some are others. We'll see. Anyway, Brewster's Millions may not be one of Richard Pryor's most acclaimed comedies, but it certainly is a favorite because it's more family-friendly than a lot of the R-rated movies that he did. It's a movie that I saw in the theater when I was young. I guess I was about 12 when this came out. I enjoyed it very much, saw it a number of times since then, and a lot of other people enjoyed it too. And of course, Rambo First Blood Part 2 really made Stallone, and this character a big 80s icon of action cinema. Yeah, I think that was entirely appropriate choice. As for November 18, 1983, we had Sleepaway Camp, which is a classic of 80s horror movie with a mind-blowing twist ending, plus a perennial holiday favorite ever since it came out, A Christmas Story. Ralphie wanting his Red Ryder BB gun. It's all about that, and of course the shenanigans involving his family, his father with the lamp, Fragile, and his mother, Melinda Dillon, who also played the mother in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, of course. As well as the yellow-eyed bully and his little brother, and all the shenanigans involving You'll Shoot Your Eye Out and the Santa Claus that pushes him down the slide. It's a favorite. It's a favorite it's been a long time holiday favorite, so it certainly deserves a place here. And finally, my number one, Barbenheimer of the 80s, June 8th, 1984, Joe Dante's horror movie Gremlins and Ghostbusters. Gremlins and Ghostbusters on the same day. Amazing. What a double feature that must have been for those that saw it in the theater. Now, as a kid, I was pretty young when this came out. I think I had to be 11 in 84. Ghostbusters, I definitely saw in the theater a couple of times, but Gremlins I didn't get to see until home video because it was probably too scary and too gross. I wouldn't have been able to handle it. Saw a little bit later. Liked it very much. Not my favorite Joe Dante movie, but certainly, and also a holiday classic. It's set at Christmas time. It's amazing how many great Christmas movies come out in seasons that don't have anything to do with Christmas. So those are my top 5 Barbenheimers of the 80s. I will be doing the 90s next, and the 2000s, and the 2010s, and I hope that you will enjoy those videos when they're posted. Thanks very much for watching.